Hello. I want to tell you a story about a patient I'll call Arthur. He was a wonderful man in his late 70s, a retired carpenter with hands that had built half the houses in his town. He came into my office not for a major crisis, but for what he called a nuisance. He was getting tired walking to his mailbox. He'd find himself out of breath after climbing the single flight of stairs in his home. His wife had noticed his ankles were puffy by the end of the day. "It's just old age, Doc," he said with a resigned smile. "The engine is just running out of steam." But after a thorough examination, I found that Arthur's engine, his heart, wasn't just running out of steam. It was being actively sabotaged. The culprit wasn't a new disease. It wasn't his diet or a lack of exercise. The culprit was a small, seemingly innocent pill he'd been taking every single day for the last 5 years for his arthritis pain. A pill that millions of seniors take without a second thought. As a heart surgeon who has spent decades looking at the intricate, powerful muscle of the human heart, I can tell you this: it is remarkably resilient, but it is not invincible. And very often, the greatest threats to its health don't come from a sudden, dramatic event. They come from a silent, slow, and steady erosion caused by something hiding in plain sight, right inside your medicine cabinet. These are medications you've been dutifully taking, trusting they are helping you, when in fact, they may be quietly waging a war on your cardiovascular system. What most people over the age of 60 simply do not know is that some of the most common everyday pills, prescribed for pain, for sleep, for acid reflux, for blood sugar, can be the hidden architects of heart failure, the triggers for dangerously high blood pressure, and the source of chaotic, irregular heart rhythms. The most insidious part of this danger is its silence. The damage doesn't announce itself with a trumpet blast. It builds, molecule by molecule, day by day, over months and years, until one day you find yourself, like Arthur, breathless at the top of the stairs, blaming it on age when it's actually the consequence of a medication. This video is not about creating fear. Fear paralyzes. This is about creating awareness, because awareness empowers you. If you or someone you love is over 60 and taking any regular medication, this is not just an interesting video to watch. It is essential information you cannot afford to miss. We are going to count down from 7 to 1 the most dangerous pills that may be harming your heart. And I must warn you, pill number 1 is not some obscure, rare drug. It is shockingly common. Let me be perfectly clear. I am not asking you to open your medicine cabinet and throw your pills away. That would be reckless. But you have an undeniable right to understand what you are putting into your body and to have an informed conversation with your doctor. You deserve to know the truth. So please, grab a cup of tea, settle in, and let's begin this crucial journey together. Pill number 7, the hidden danger in your pain reliever, NSAIDs. Let's begin with a category of medication so common, it's in nearly every home, every purse, every glove compartment in the country. We're talking about non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or as we all call them, NSAIDs. This includes ibuprofen, naproxen, and a host of others. For anyone over 60, these pills are often the first line of defense against the persistent aches of arthritis, the searing pain of a bad back, or the chronic throb of joint inflammation. They are so easy to get over the counter that we assume they are as safe as water. But for a senior's heart, long-term daily use can be like a slow-motion poison. To understand the danger, you need to understand how they work. NSAIDs block enzymes called COX enzymes, which in turn stops the production of chemicals called prostaglandins. These prostaglandins do many things, but one of their jobs is to create pain and inflammation at the site of an injury. Blocking them is great for pain relief. However, other prostaglandins play a vital protective role in your body. They help protect your stomach lining and, critically for our discussion, they help regulate blood flow to your kidneys. When you take an NSAID every day, you're not just blocking the pain signals, you're also interfering with your kidneys' ability to do their job properly. Your kidneys are the master regulators of salt and water in your body. When their blood flow is reduced, they get a false signal that the body is dehydrated, so they start holding onto more salt and more water. This is what we call fluid retention. Now, imagine your heart is a pump. For decades, it's been pumping a certain volume of blood through your blood vessels. Suddenly, because of this fluid retention, you're asking it to pump a greater volume of fluid through the same set of pipes. The pressure inside those pipes, your blood pressure, begins to rise. For a heart that is already working a bit harder due to age, this extra workload is a significant strain. It's like asking a 60-year-old engine to suddenly start hauling a much heavier load uphill every single day. Over time, this strain can be the very thing that pushes a stable heart into a state of heart failure or triggers a frightening, fluttering, irregular heartbeat. Who is most at risk? Anyone with even borderline high blood pressure, anyone with known kidney issues, even mild ones, or anyone already diagnosed with heart failure. If you take blood pressure medication, daily NSAID use can actively fight against your prescribed pills, making them less effective and leaving you with dangerously high blood pressure without you even realizing it. What should you look for? The warning signs are subtle. Are your ankles or feet more swollen than usual at the end of the day? Have you noticed a sudden unexplained weight gain of a few pounds in a few days? That's not fat, it's water weight. Do you feel more short of breath when you exert yourself? These are red flags. Instead of reaching for that bottle of ibuprofen day after day, talk to your doctor. Ask about safer alternatives like acetaminophen for general pain or topical NSAID gels and creams that work locally on the joint without affecting your whole system. Ask about physical therapy, heat, ice, or other non-drug approaches. Pain relief is a right, but it should never ever come at the cost of your heart. Pill number 6, the diabetes drug with a dark side, thiazolidinediones. Managing type 2 diabetes is a delicate balancing act, and for many, a class of medications called thiazolidinediones, or TZDs, has been part of that equation. You might know them by drug names like pioglitazone. Their primary job is to make your body's cells more sensitive to insulin, helping to bring down high blood sugar levels. And in that respect, they can be very effective. But they come with a very serious, well-documented side effect that can quietly place an immense burden on the heart, especially in the senior population. The core problem, once again, is fluid retention. But with TZDs, the mechanism is different and often more pronounced than with NSAIDs. These drugs can directly cause your body to reabsorb more sodium in the kidneys, and wherever sodium goes, water follows. This leads to an increase in the total volume of fluid in your bloodstream. For a person with diabetes, who is already at a 2 to 4 times higher risk of developing heart failure than someone without diabetes, this is an incredibly dangerous side effect. I want you to imagine your heart is a water balloon. A healthy heart is a strong, elastic balloon. Heart failure is like a balloon that has been overstretched and has become thin, weak, and floppy. Now imagine taking a drug that starts pumping more water into that already weakened balloon. It's a recipe for disaster. This fluid overload caused by TZDs can manifest as significant swelling, not just in the ankles but sometimes higher up the legs. It can also cause fluid to back up into the lungs, leading to congestive heart failure. What is particularly insidious is how the symptoms can be misinterpreted. The classic signs of worsening heart failure, fatigue, shortness of breath, needing to prop yourself up with more pillows at night to breathe, are easily blamed on the diabetes itself or simply on aging. A patient might not connect their increasing tiredness with the pill they're taking for their blood sugar. Some doctors may still prescribe these medications because they are effective for glucose control and may have some other secondary benefits. However, the FDA has placed a black box warning on these drugs, the most serious warning possible, highlighting the risk of causing or worsening congestive heart failure. If you have any history of heart failure, these drugs are almost always a no-go. Even if you don't, but you notice new or worsening swelling in your legs or increasing breathlessness, you must bring it up with your doctor immediately. There are many other classes of diabetes medications available now, some of which have even been shown to protect the heart. You must be your own advocate and ask, given the risks, is this truly the safest and best option for my heart health? Pill number 5, the sleep aid that can weaken your heart, sedative hypnotics. Oh, the elusive promise of a good night's sleep. As we age, our natural sleep architecture changes, and a restful 8 hours can feel like a distant memory. It is no surprise that millions of seniors turn to sleeping pills, a class of drugs known as sedative hypnotics. This includes newer drugs like zolpidem, as well as older benzodiazepines like diazepam, which are sometimes used for sleep. They offer the tempting promise of shutting off a racing mind and drifting into unconsciousness. But this chemically induced sleep often comes at a steep and often hidden price for your heart. These sedatives work by depressing or slowing down your entire central nervous system. This is what makes you feel drowsy. But your nervous system doesn't just control your thoughts, it controls everything. It controls your breathing rate and your heart rate. While you sleep under the influence of these drugs, your breathing can become slower and more shallow. For many people, especially those who are overweight or have other risk factors, this can trigger or dramatically worsen a condition called sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is when you stop breathing for short periods, sometimes hundreds of times a night. Each time you stop breathing, the oxygen level in your blood plummets. Your brain senses this as a life-threatening emergency and sends out a massive surge of stress hormones like adrenaline to jolt your body back to breathing. This jolt causes your blood pressure to skyrocket and your heart to pound. Imagine putting your heart through this intense stress test over and over all night long. This process is incredibly damaging. It leads to chronic high blood pressure, significantly increases the risk of stroke, and can trigger dangerous heart arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation. You might take a pill to get some rest, but you could be subjecting your heart to the most stressful night of its life. Furthermore, there's the issue of the hangover effect. These drugs can linger in a senior's system much longer than in a younger person's. This leads to next-day grogginess, impaired judgment, and a significantly increased risk of falls. A fall for a senior can be a catastrophic event, leading to a broken hip and a rapid decline in health from which many never fully recover. The long-term dependence on these pills isn't just bad for your heart, it's a slow poison for your brain's independence and your body's safety. Instead of reaching for a pill, please explore safer avenues with your doctor, such as cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI, which is now considered the gold standard treatment for chronic insomnia and has no dangerous side effects. Mid-roll ad break. Before we move into our top 4, I want to pause for a moment. All this information can feel overwhelming, especially when you're trying to keep track of your own health, your medications, and your symptoms. It's easy to forget what you wanted to ask your doctor. This is precisely why having the right tool is so important. I strongly recommend the Senior Health Tracker app. It was designed from the ground up for people just like you, with large, clear text and simple, intuitive buttons. You can log your daily symptoms, set medication reminders, and have a clear record of your health right at your fingertips when you talk to your doctor. This isn't just an app. It's your personal health advocate. We have limited access available this week due to high demand, so please find the download link in the pinned comment and the description below. Taking control starts with being informed. Don't wait. Pill before the old school antidepressant that can disrupt your rhythm. Tricyclic antidepressants. Now we move to a class of medication that many people are surprised to see on a list about heart health. Tricyclic antidepressants. These are some of the older medications for depression, nerve pain, and anxiety, with names like amitriptyline and nortriptyline. While they have largely been replaced by newer, safer drugs like SSRIs, they are still prescribed, sometimes out of habit or due to cost. For a younger person with a healthy heart, they can be managed. But for a person over 60, they carry a distinct set of cardiac risks that are too significant to ignore. The primary danger of tricyclics lies in their effect on the heart's electrical conduction system. Think of your heart's electrical system as the intricate, perfectly timed wiring in a complex building. A central command center, the sinus node, sends out an electrical pulse, which travels down specific pathways to make the heart chambers contract in a perfect coordinated rhythm. Tricyclic antidepressants can act like faulty wiring. They can slow down the speed at which that electrical signal travels through the heart. This can lead to a variety of problems. It can cause dangerous heart rhythm disturbances. Most notably, it can cause something called QT prolongation on an electrocardiogram, EKG. This is a technical term, but what it means is that your heart muscle is taking too long to recharge between beats. This prolonged recharging phase leaves the heart vulnerable to a very dangerous chaotic rhythm called torsades de pointe, which can be fatal. This makes these drugs particularly hazardous for any senior who already has an underlying arrhythmia or a heart that naturally beats a bit slower. They also have other side effects that are problematic for seniors. They are notorious for causing something called orthostatic hypotension, a sudden drop in blood pressure when you stand up from sitting or lying down. This can cause severe dizziness, lightheadedness, and is a major cause of falls and fractures in the elderly. Even at a low dose prescribed for nerve pain, if taken for a long period without careful monitoring, the cumulative effect can be harmful. If you are on one of these older antidepressants, it is absolutely essential to ask your doctor if it's still the best choice for you, or if a newer, heart-safer medication could achieve the same goals with less risk. Pill number 3, the common cold medicine that strains your heart, decongestants. Here is a danger that is so common, so accessible, it's practically woven into the fabric of our culture. You get a stuffy nose from a cold or seasonal allergies, and you reach for a decongestant. The active ingredients are usually pseudoephedrine or phenylephrine. They are incredibly effective at what they do, but the way they do it can be very dangerous for a senior's cardiovascular system. These drugs belong to a class called vasoconstrictors. Vaso refers to blood vessels, and constrictor means to squeeze. They work by squeezing the small blood vessels in your nasal passages. This reduces swelling and inflammation, opens up your airways, and allows you to breathe freely. The relief can feel almost miraculous. But here is the critical problem. The drug doesn't know the difference between a blood vessel in your nose and a blood vessel in the rest of your body. It squeezes them all. Imagine you're trying to water your garden with a garden hose, and someone comes along and starts squeezing the hose at various points. The pressure inside that hose would shoot up, and you'd have to turn the spigot much harder to get the same amount of water out. This is exactly what happens in your body. The decongestant squeezes blood vessels throughout your system, which immediately and sometimes dramatically increases your blood pressure. Your heart, the spigot, has to pump much harder to push blood through these newly narrowed vessels. For a young, healthy person, this might just cause a feeling of being jittery or anxious for a few hours. But for a senior, especially one who already has high blood pressure or any underlying heart disease, this sudden, intense strain can be enough to trigger a hypertensive crisis, chest pain, angina, or a serious arrhythmia. That heart-pounding sensation you feel after taking a strong cold medicine, that is your heart screaming under the strain. Many people are shocked to learn that these over-the-counter products can be so risky, but age fundamentally changes how our bodies react. What was harmless in your 40s can be a major cardiac risk in your 70s. Always read the labels on combination cold and flu products, as these ingredients are often hidden inside. And please consult your doctor or pharmacist before using any decongestant. Pill number 2, the heartburn pill with a silent long-term cost, proton pump inhibitors, PPIs. We are now at number 2, and this one will surprise many of you. It's a medication that millions of seniors take every single day, often for years or even decades, believing it to be perfectly safe. We're talking about proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, the most powerful class of drugs for treating acid reflux and heartburn. You know them by names like omeprazole, esomeprazole, and pantoprazole. They are miraculous at what they do. They shut down the acid-producing pumps in your stomach. But emerging science over the last decade has revealed that this powerful effect, when sustained long-term, can have silent, damaging consequences for your heart and blood vessels. The problem stems from the very thing that makes them effective. Stomach acid isn't just an annoyance, it's a critical component of digestion and nutrient absorption. When you dramatically reduce stomach acid for long periods, you impair your body's ability to absorb several key nutrients that are vital for heart health. The most important of these is magnesium. Magnesium is an electrolyte that I like to call the relaxation mineral. It is absolutely essential for maintaining a stable, steady heart rhythm. When your magnesium levels are chronically low, which is a known side effect of long-term PPI use. It can lead to muscle cramps, fatigue, and most dangerously, cardiac arrhythmias like atrial fibrillation and other electrical disturbances. But the risk doesn't stop there. We now know that PPIs can affect the health of our endothelium, the delicate single-cell thick lining of all our blood vessels. A healthy endothelium produces a gas called nitric oxide, which helps blood vessels relax and remain flexible. Recent studies suggest that long-term PPI use can reduce the production of nitric oxide, leading to stiffer, less flexible arteries. This contributes to high blood pressure and atherosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries, which is the root cause of most heart attacks and strokes. If you've been taking a PPI every day for more than a few months, it is no longer a simple heartburn treatment. It's a chronic medication that requires a serious conversation with your doctor. These pills were designed for short-term use. The goal should always be to find and treat the root cause of your reflux, be it diet, a hiatal hernia, or something else, rather than simply masking the symptom with a pill that may be creating a much larger, more silent problem for your cardiovascular system. Pill number 1, the most dangerous pill, hiding in plain sight certain calcium channel blockers. We have now arrived at number 1. The most dangerous pill on our list is one that is prescribed by cardiologists every single day to treat heart conditions. This paradox is what makes it so critical to understand. I am talking specifically about a subclass of calcium channel blockers, the non-dihydropyridine type, which includes the very common drugs verapamil and diltiazem. These medications are prescribed for high blood pressure, angina, chest pain, and to control certain fast heart rhythms. They work by blocking calcium from entering the muscle cells of the heart and blood vessels. Since calcium is what makes muscles contract, blocking it causes the blood vessels to relax, which lowers blood pressure and also, importantly, slows down the heart rate and reduces the force of the heart's contractions. In the right patient, this is exactly what's needed. But in the wrong patient, specifically many seniors whose heart function may already be subtly declining, this effect can be devastating. The problem is that these drugs can be too effective. They can hit the brakes on the heart too hard. For an aging heart, this can lead to a condition called bradycardia, a dangerously slow heart rate. This isn't just a number on a watch. A slow heart rate means your brain, muscles, and organs are not getting the oxygen-rich blood they need to function. The symptoms are profound and often misattributed to old age, overwhelming fatigue, a lack of energy to do anything, dizziness, lightheadedness, and even fainting spells. I have seen patients whose main complaint was that they no longer had the energy to play with their grandchildren, and the culprit was the very pill meant to be protecting their heart. Furthermore, these specific calcium channel blockers can weaken the heart's pumping action. If a senior has even a mild, undiagnosed case of what we call heart failure with preserved ejection fraction, a common condition where the heart is stiff, these drugs can tip them over the edge, causing significant shortness of breath and fluid retention. The absolute biggest issue is that these debilitating side effects, the fatigue, the swelling, the slow pulse, are so easily and so often dismissed by patients, families, and even doctors as just a normal part of getting older. A patient's life can be dramatically and negatively impacted, all because the side effect is not recognized for what it is. Never ever stop a heart medication like this on your own, but if you are taking verapamil or diltiazem and you are experiencing these symptoms, you must view it as a critical warning sign. You must go to your doctor and say, "I am feeling exhausted and dizzy, and I know this can be a side effect of my medication. Can we review it? Is there a newer, safer option for me?" Conclusion, your final empowering takeaway. So, there you have it. From the common pain reliever in your cabinet to a powerful prescription heart medication, we have covered 7 classes of pills that have the potential to silently harm a senior's heart. Let me recap them for you. NSAIDs, certain diabetes drugs, TZDs, sedative sleeping pills, tricyclic antidepressants, decongestants, proton pump inhibitors, PPIs, and certain calcium channel blockers. If you are taking any of these, I'll say it one last time. My goal is not to fill you with panic. My goal is to arm you with knowledge and spur you to action. The single most important theme running through all of this is that you must be an active partner in your own healthcare. The era of passively accepting a prescription without questions is over. As a heart surgeon, the most tragic cases I see are not always the ones with a sudden, unavoidable catastrophe. They are the ones, like my patient Arthur, where the damage was slow, preventable, and caused by the very thing that was supposed to help. But the good news is that with this awareness, you can change the trajectory of your health. You can have that conversation. You can ask those questions. You can use tools like the Senior Health Tracker app to become the world's leading expert on one subject, your own body. This is your time to take control. Stay informed, stay alert, and never ever be afraid to question what you're putting into your body. Your heart is the most remarkable engine you will ever own. It has beaten for you faithfully billions of times. It deserves your advocacy and your protection. If you found this video helpful and believe it could help someone else, please share it with your friends, your family, and anyone you love who is over 60. Subscribe for more in-depth health advice designed to help you live not just a longer life, but a stronger, healthier, and more vibrant one. Thank you so much for your time and your attention. Take care and stay heart strong.